Humanities 320, the history of contemporary music. You ready? That's our theme song for this segment here. I'm Tom Zarecki. Welcome to this segment on contemporary music. This is class discussion number 4. And I'd just like to recap a little bit since it's been a little while since we spoke, tell you what we're up to. And remember, all of my videos with my face are only 10 minutes or less because that's the amount of time that YouTube prohibits. So I'll talk, they don't allow any videos over 10 minutes. So I'll squeeze everything in as quickly as I can. Here we go. Just to make sure you're up to date, you should have already watched class discussion number 1, which had no real assignments in it. It was just an overview. The thing in the most recent email I sent you, dated September 15th, was fun assignment number 1, music vocabulary. We went through, I held up little file cards with all the different music vocabulary words that you'll be responsible for. The goal is to try to get you to use those words as you describe music to other people long after this course. And by now you should have done fun assignment number 2, which was watching 20 music videos. And I found out from some class members that some of the videos no longer play. So if you go to one of those on that page and it doesn't play, you can just type in the artist's name and watch the video or listen to the audio on your own. Remember, it's not the video that's important, it's the audio. It's the music that makes up the performance. This is what it's all about. And then you would have already read a overview of melody, harmony, and rhythm, correct, on one of my hub page articles, which had an assignment. And most of you have sent me that assignment already with some songs and stuff like that. And you've already read the hub page article on rhythm, correct? And with all those rhythmic songs and the lecture notes that were within Earth, Wind and Fire and the Doobie Brothers and Bo Diddley. And again, if the videos don't play, just let me know, or just you can find them yourself by going to YouTube. But let's go to the next segment. I want to introduce some stuff to you now because there is a video I'd like you to watch that was produced somewhere else. I found it on YouTube. It's a major television network, I guess, that did it, but it's a YouTube video that tells the story of early rock and roll more interestingly and with more images and improved graphics than I could ever do. So I'm going to direct you to that in the email that I'll be sending you along with this link. But we'll get to that in just a second. Other housekeeping details. I mentioned that if a video doesn't play, just go to that site itself. Also, let's see. We can just get right into it here. The rest can wait. If anybody has any questions as to where we are, and if you have not done all the assignments or you're not sure if you have, let me know and I'll let you know, and we'll catch you right up to date on all these as we improve our technology. I wanted to create a video with this new technology. See the new microphone and the little more up-to-date camera. The lighting is still not very good because I'm not a lighting professional. I'm a radio guy and a musician. What do I know about lighting? So it looks like I'm being interrogated by the FBI, I think. But let's get to the point of this particular video. I have a timer which is going to go off in 5 minutes, which will tell me I have a minute left to keep this video under 10 minutes. And this introduction I'm about to give you will be a nice setup for the video you're going to watch, which talks about 3 of the great introductory artists of rock and roll. What's interesting is that in 1945, World War II ended, and that's when the baby boom began. People came back from the service after World War II, even while the Korean War continued till 1953. People started having kids, and lots of kids. So there were a lot more people created. And the baby boom itself went from 1946 to 1963, most people say, and it was those generations of people that created the big divide between early rock and roll and all the music that had preceded it. In fact, the older people hated rock and roll when it first came out because it was so different and so unlike anything else they had ever seen before. So please try to think of rock and roll in that context. Now, when we talk about rock music today, that's different. That's a subset of what rock and roll, R-O-C-K-N-R-O-L-L, rock and roll, was when it was created back in the 50s. Actually, the roots of rock, you can check out some of this yourself, came from the 1940s and early 50s, and a lot of great singers like Fats Domino and the Orioles, and tons of artists, primarily black artists, were specialists in blues and early R&B music, and quite often that it was called race music because it was only listened to by people of color, is what it called back then, or black people is what we might call it, call them today. But the white people in the United States were very much segregated from the black people's music. There's no other way around it. In fact, almost all major and medium-sized radio stations in the United States had a lot of mass appeal, general interest news and music stations, and all these cities would have one radio station that was for colored people, as it was called back then, and if music was played, it was either gospel/religious gospel music, or what we now call R&B, and it was called race music back then because it appealed to one race, apparently. But the doors were about to swing open, and all the music from a variety of races was about to become all mishmashed together in the 60s, once rock took over. But right now in the 50s, it still was segregated to black radio stations and black audiences primarily. And so there's some artists that you'll need to know about, and I'm setting you up for the 1950s. Elvis Presley is, no question, the most known performer from the 1950s, and he was a white guy that was a truck driver from Memphis. That was Elvis, and his agent, or a guy that discovered him actually, Sam Phillips, tried to have this white guy sort of fake playing guitar, but he could swivel his hips, and he had a great personality, and he looked kind of handsome apparently, and he could sing the music of black people and cross it over to the general interest radio stations. And it turns out that that idea made sense, and it made them millions and millions of dollars, as well as other performers too. But it's important to look at the black performers that influenced the music that Elvis ended up singing, because remember, Elvis didn't write a single song at all. He sang other people's songs. And as you'll see in the videos in just a few minutes when you watch them, a lot of the white performers were nervous about this, and they started doing what was called cover versions, C-O-V-E-R, cover versions, which is your own watered-down sort of plain version of some wild, crazy R&B song that was sort of homogenized for the general population, because the people at the time were afraid of integrating black music into the white culture. Of course, that's long since passed, but it was fascinating to watch this happen, and it created a lot of racial tensions, too, along with other political aspects that were happening at the time. By the way, also, because Dwight Eisenhower was president from 1953 to 1961, when John Kennedy took over, that whole era of Dwight Eisenhower, who was a retired World War II general who became president of the United States, it was a big wave of conservatism in the United States. Millions and millions of people had conservative jobs. They lived in neighborhoods where all the houses looked the same, and there was much a wave of sameness and throughout the United States. Very, very much safe cultures and safe ideas and conservative, sort of plain, bland thinking, as evidenced by perhaps the TV sitcoms Leave It to Beaver or the Donna Reed Show. You may want to watch those when you get a chance. But the music of the R&B that ultimately became mixed with jazz and blues and became rock and roll is what exploded in 1955 with two things: the dawn of Elvis Presley, which we'll talk about in the next video, and the start of R&B music as well, with Bill Haley and the Comets. The very first song that was popularized was called Rock Around the Clock. But I'm going to make sure you watch a video, and I'll send you this in an email. It's one video, 10 minutes long, and it talks about the origins of Chuck Berry, Little Richard, and Bo Diddley, and how they came to be and how their careers started in the world of all-white music, and how their music ultimately made big successes for them and made the music cross over into the world of mass appeal music. So we'll talk about that in the next videos. I want you to watch those, as well as a video on, we talked about rhythm last time, and now I want you to watch read a separate article called Harmony. all about harmonies in music. And I'll send you the email to that link as well. And that's where the assignment will be. So if you can get any of the assignment to me by Monday, that's fine. And because today's already Thursday when I'm issuing this, if you take till Tuesday, that's fine too. But there's a lot more assignments to come. Some of the videos you'll see of me were recorded back with my old bad microphone, so the quality won't be as good. But we'll try to bring things up and changing as we go along. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.